Alright, good evening ladies. In today's video we're going to be doing a deep dive into Arweave along with their new layer 1 that they're bringing out, AO. Now this could be a huge opportunity. We saw that Arweave absolutely exploded at the start of the year upon the announcement of their new layer 1, AO, which is, we'll dive into it a bit further on in this video, but right now no one's really looking at fundamental coins. No one really cares about any sort of coins with utility. Everyone is just completely focused on meme coins, myself included. I know where the money is being made, and a good few of my last videos have been on meme coins and all I've been talking about in my Telegram group. If you want, you can join that free in the description, as well as on Twitter. Mostly been focused on meme coins. However, at some point there will be an alt season again, and you want to be looking for those strongest alts with the best fundamentals, the best narratives, which definitely Arweave could be considered as having really strong narratives, and of course that have shown strength in the past. Now Arweave went from about $5 straight up to $50, and now it's taken a pullback. It's about $20, under $20 now. I think at some point it can break that $50 again and potentially make a run towards $100, and I'm going to explain exactly why in this video. Now I've talked about Arweave and AO briefly in a couple of videos, but I haven't gone deep into both of these networks and both of these blockchains. So quickly, what Arweave is, I'm sure a lot of you already know. However, it's basically just a data storage blockchain, kind of like Filecoin or Shadow that I've talked about before. So you can permanently store your data on Arweave for a fee, and it will last like 200 years on Arweave. So it's a permanent data storage layer blockchain, and you pay for that data storage in Arweave tokens. Now, why is that interesting? Well, when you combine permanent data storage with unlimited compute that the AO blockchain will have, you're basically going to have the ability for a decentralized LLM, or a decentralized large language model, i.e. decentralized AI, real decentralized AI and AI agents. So that's what all the hype is about AO, this new supercomputer blockchain that's coming out on. So basically, if like the white paper and the explanations of AO and Arweave, particularly about AO, are actually really complicated and quite difficult to understand. So I'm going to do my best to explain it to you in more simple terms. But AO is essentially using Arweave as a data availability layer, if you know anything about Ethereum speak. So AO is a roll-up on top of Arweave. Now that's not the terms that they use, and it's probably technically incorrect, but that's how I kind of think about it. So AO is a roll-up on top of Arweave, using Arweave for the data. And Arweave obviously has permanent data, unlimited amounts of data that can be used. I'm not going to go too deep into the tech, because that's not what this channel is about. Like, we're here just to make money. We're not like so deep into the tech, but it's important to have a basic concept and basic understanding of the technology. But more important is, why will the number go up? Now, in order to access this AO, which will have its own token, so number one, this AO is going to, in order to access the AO token, which is going to be its own layer 1, but I know it's kind of a roll-up. It's its own layer 1, but it's using Arweave as data for data availability. Nevertheless, in order to access the AO token, the only way you can get it is to deposit staked ETH, or you can hold Arweave tokens. So that's essentially where all the huge demand for Arweave came at the start of this year, when this had this massive pump. And again, like the AO token is going to be released until February 2025. So from now until February 2025, there's going to be continued demand for Arweave tokens. And yeah, potentially when Bitcoin breaks all-time high and all coins start performing well again, people are going to be looking, oh, what are the hottest trends? What's the hottest narratives? Obviously the hottest narratives are memes, but apart from memes, AI is one of the hottest narratives. Deepin is a really hot narrative, and layer 1s are really hot narratives, like stuff like Sui and Solana. And AO, it actually fits into all those buckets. It's deep in play in the fact that Arweave is a deep in data storage layer. It's AI because you're going to be able to have decentralized LLMs and decentralized agents directly using, like, fully on chain, directly on the AO blockchain. And it's obviously a layer 1 as well. Now you might be thinking, oh, there's no point holding Arweave up until February 2025. There's going to be no demand for Arweave after that. But AO, if it is successful and people are using the AO blockchain for AI or for large language models or for whatever applications they want, and there's a lot of applications being built on AO, everyone using AO, like, AO is going to be a sink for Arweave tokens as well. Like, you're going to use AO tokens, and in order for AO to use the Arweave network for data availability, it's going to have to use Arweave tokens as well. So if you're bullish on AO, you also should be bullish on Arweave as well. Okay, so I mentioned at the start of this video that AO will have infinite scaling and really, really fast transactions per second. How does it do that when things like Solana, like, how can it have infinite scaling when things like Solana and Ethereum obviously run into bottlenecks when it comes to scaling? Well, it does this by having a different trade-off. So with Solana, it's a globally shared state, meaning everyone interacting with Solana has the exact same information at the exact same time about the state of Solana, or every transaction that has ever happened on Solana at the same time, everyone knows. Whereas with AO, it's going to have a localized state. So it's not a globally shared state. So you wouldn't be able to run NASDAQ on the blockchain like what Solana is trying to do, but you're going to have hyper parallelization in the fact that a localized state doesn't need to tell everyone in the entire world what it's doing for that application or for that process. It's just a localized state, and maybe it can sync up afterward. So with that design, I know it's a trade-off for some things, but with that design, these applications can run in parallel with infinite scaling, which is perfect for AI. The other trade-off or the other difference between other blockchains such as Ethereum and Solana that AO is implementing is, for example, with Ethereum or with Solana, every single transaction has the same security guarantees. Whether you're sending $5 or $5 million, there's the same security guarantees, the same amount of network security backing that transaction. However, with AO, you're going to be able to basically pay for the amount of security that you need or that you want. So if you're making a really small transaction, $5, you don't need a huge amount of, you don't need millions and billions of dollars to make sure that transaction goes through smoothly. Maybe you do for some reason, but if you pay more, so you want to send 5 billion or you want to do a very complex application that needs to run effectively, you can bid up the security of that transaction. So that helps the AO blockchain scale more effectively, as well as the infinite scaling through parallelization at a localized state. Okay, so that's like a brief overview of the tech behind AO. The other difference between AO and other blockchains is there's no block size limit, there's no computation limit, so smart contracts can be much more complicated and much richer and do more interesting things as a smart contract than other traditional blockchains. So AO has expanded its memory to 16 gigabytes, and so basically it has way more memory than other blockchains, which is a requirement for large language models to be able to run directly on a blockchain. So I've talked about AI agent in a few videos. You can watch my video on Prime there. It gives a good overview on what AI agents are, but essentially AI agents are people that can go around. You can give it a wallet, you can give it money, and you can tell it, make me money, or you can tell it a certain task, go find some arbitrage trades or farm this or do that or whatever. That's in a blockchain sense of the word. Or you could say, go book me flights for my trip to Peru. And basically every AI agent will much prefer using blockchain rails than traditional banking and payment rails, because they don't have bank accounts. You can't really give an AI agent a bank account. So that's why they will prefer crypto rails, and they want to make financial decisions within the blockchain itself. So they can see, okay, through this route doesn't look like the cheapest way, this route looks better, I'm going to make the decision to go this way and bridge to that chain, buy this token and swap it for that token, etc., etc., to be in order to execute the function that I was told to do. And AO is potentially one of the front runners in being able to integrate advanced AI agents directly within the blockchain itself. All right, so now moving on to the AO token itself. And AO is following like a fair launch idea in the fact that it's kind of copying Bitcoin, and the only way to acquire AO tokens, there's not going to be any tokens for VCs, there's not going to be tokens for KOLs, etc., etc. The only way you can acquire tokens is to bridge some Ethereum, or to interact with the AO network itself, or to hold Arweave tokens. So it's kind of a fair distribution, and there's 21 million AO tokens as a halving every 4 years, copying Bitcoin's tokenomics model. So the AO tokens don't become available for trading until February 2025, as I mentioned earlier on in the video. The utility for the tokens is kind of like a gas token, but has actual utility for the AO token governance, ecosystem footing, compute fees, and staking is the utility for AO token. So looking at some of the key metrics for Arweave, you can see the market cap has dropped down quite a bit from its high in Q1. Transactions have been increasing, fees have been increasing, and data that has been uploaded is also increasing, and the transactions per second also increasing. So the fundamentals are increasing on paper, and the market cap has gone down. And eventually I think this will reverse, and over the next few months people will see, okay, this AO has a really, really strong narrative, actually created by a super genius guy, and has good fundamentals in a really, really strong narrative. So seems like an interesting spot for AO. All the hype has died down. Probably this video won't get very many views at all. The transactions per second on AO/Arweave are only second to Solana. So that's really, really fast. Maybe Sui is catching up, but has really, really strong transactions per second because of the designs that we discussed earlier on in the video. Now, some drawbacks when it comes to AO/Arweave, that the users has dropped from the start of the year, the user number has dropped from the start of the year. I think it's gone from 6,000 users to 3,000 users over the last 6 to 9 months. And the GitHub commits have also dropped over the last 6 to 9 months. As we can see from this chart, there was a big peak around 80 of GitHub commits, and then it's like trailing down and down and down and down. So yeah, potentially there's a reason for the lack of interest right now. Potentially there's not, but yeah, Arweave is one of the coins that I'm quite interested in, and I have a decent sized bag of Arweave for those reasons. So that's all for today's video. Explainer on Arweave and AO. Really hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.